Well, first things first, Simon, how are you feeling personally?
Pete, feeling good. I thought I might get that question pretty early on. Fair bit of a story for a bit of a dodgy linguine. But yeah, obviously feeling good. A bit of food poisoning, so feeling good. Obviously wasn't the hotel here. I just got to watch where I eat and where I went out. But, feeling good now. I'm feeling 100% and ready to go. So, thankfully it's not something that's going to pass through the players and the club. It's self-inflicted.
Yeah, cool. And what do you got planned? What do you got planned for today? There's obviously been talk about this session being really important. What's your plan?
Yeah, it's obviously a really important day for us. We want to get some match loads into the players, similar to what we did, previous weeks before that. And we'll do some training. We'll do some match simulation type drills and some real high intensity contest work. And that's how we know we best prepare for the game and where we're at. So we know that gives us a great preparation, but it's an important session for us, and that's where we need our whole squad to be, really at their best and training to a high level today.
Was there any concern, Simon, that yesterday's little hiccup might have, meant more to the group in terms of if it, spread or anything like that? Were you ever worried at any stage?
Oh, not at all. Our players are really well prepared in how they go about their business. Having a couple of coaches that are out of action is not going to affect anyone for the short term. But there's no concern about our playing group. They're fit, they're healthy, they're ready to go, and they're eager to get into some really good training. We've had a week really where we're focused on getting ourselves right physically and mentally, and now we go into our full preparation mode, and it starts today.
Did Adam have to start training, Simon?
He had a similar sort of scenario. So, it's both of us sort of ate something that wasn't quite right, and we'll be right. He's 100% as well.
What will you do with May later on today in terms of the training session? Simon, will you let him rip or take a more conservative approach?
Rob, he'll do part of the session. He's slowly building his program up, towards his full training come the back end of next week. So he's in really good shape, really positive about where that sits with him, and he's really confident in the way his body's tracking. So today's just a stepping stone in that process, and we're really confident that he'll be right to play.
Goody, how do you make the call between Joel Smith and Michael Hibberd? That seems to be the big selection dilemma heading into next week.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few guys that come into that mix. We've got Jaden Hunt, Michael Hibberd, Joel Smith, who has got to get through some rehab work with his hamstring first and foremost to be available for selection. So there's some decisions to be made. There's no question about that. But there's certainly some real confidence in the way we played last week as well. So. We'll sit down as match committee. We've got a lot of training to get through yet before we have to make those decisions. So there's a lot that can happen in that time frame as well. So we'll assess that as it comes. But you're right, there's certainly some opportunity for guys in and around the edges of the team.
Obviously, you're tailoring everyone's programs, when you've got this much time before a game. No issue with Angus. Thought he might have maybe a sore knee. He obviously sat out most of yesterday's session, albeit a light session. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He'll do everything today. So there's nothing wrong with Angus at all. He just had a really light day yesterday. He's not actually carrying too much at all other than just giving him a bit of a lighter load. So he'll fully train today. He'll do all the match simulation. There's no problems with him.
When you wanted to do the match sim tonight, Simon, how much did you weigh up the risk versus reward factor in terms of injury and the actual body contact that you want the players to get under their belt before the game?
We're a club that's trained hard all year and is no different at this stage of the season. We need to prepare our players physically and mentally for what the game demands, and the way we train and the way we do our match simulation is really important for that. It's how we've built our footy team. The critical thing is to get the contest and the competitive nature of the session right. So our mindset's right heading into next week. It's a really important session for us. It's the way we train, it's the way we prepare, and we know it's the best way to get us into a performance mindset. And that's the way we'll approach it. Clearly you do it in the safest way possible, but we haven't lost anyone at training so far this year, and we've trained really hard, so we'll continue to do that.
Good. Is it a full match? Like, do you play exact length quarters that you would in an AFL match? Is that the plan for tonight, or is it a little bit shorter?
It's a training session that gets match loads. So there'll be parts of the training will have a match simulation feel to it. There'll be other parts that overload the players in terms of what the game demands, and it's done over a shorter space of time than a whole game. So we get that intensity, we get that competitive nature, and we train elements of our game, but there's no doubt a portion of that will be a match simulation game.
Anyone else sitting out? You spoke about Stephen May earlier, but anyone else sitting out tonight's session?
No, they're all available and all playing. So, it's a great position we're in. We've got a lot of availability and we've got a whole playing list here. So it gives us a great chance to do what we want within our training session and within the match simulation. So outside that, everyone will play.
Simon, how have you found filling in this fortnight? I know you've dealt with a week off before, but it's a bit different going into a grand final. Has it been easier, more difficult than you thought, keeping minds where you want them or getting what you want out of sessions? How's it been?
No, it's been really easy, and to be honest, it really is the calm before the storm. We wanted to give our players some time mentally away from the education side of footy and the tactical side of the game, but we wanted to continue them going physically. But today is the day where we start ramping that mindset up a little bit. We start turning our attention to the Bulldogs. We start turning our attention to how we want to prepare for the game and the things that are going to be important in this week's game. And that's what we've done in previous times. You need to give them time to relax and switch off because it is an intense period, but now it's time to start to really switch on as a footy club and refine our focus towards what the task at hand is.
One of the South Australian fans, you win 2 flags with the Crows. You're now in a position as a coach going into grand final week. What experiences do you draw on and how does it feel different in the coach's box as opposed to a player?
Well, I think the experience you draw on is that, that was a long, long time ago. It's 24 years ago, 23 years ago, and I've been in the game a long time, and the experience you draw on a lot of is that these opportunities don't come around all the time. You work incredibly hard to get into these positions to take the opportunity, and we need to prepare as best we can. We need to keep it enjoyable. We need to enjoy the week together, but we need to make sure we prepare the mindset for the challenge at hand. The task isn't done. We've got an opportunity that presents in front of you that takes a long time to come to fruition. So we've worked hard to get into this position and we need to take it. And you can draw on those experiences over a long, long period of time. They're hard to win and you need to go after them when you get the opportunity.
Simon, what impact did Nathan Jones' Zoom message to the players have on you personally, and I suppose the group?
Significant, Pete. He's been a massive part of our footy club over a long, long period of time, and it's been a great year for Nathan in a lot of ways and a challenging year. And Nathan's been very... he's been a man of his word in how he's gone about this year. He wanted to make sure he had an impact on our younger players. He wanted to make sure he left the club in a really strong position, and he walks away proud to be able to do that. One of the hardest things to do as a player is to be involved in a club that goes through from where they're at rock bottom right through that journey for cultural change. And Nathan's been able to do that. And he's not only done that, he's actually helped steer the club through a really tough process and got us into the position we're in. So he's leaving a legacy for our footy club that will last a long, long time. For our younger players that come into our footy club now, it's a different club to what it used to be, and he walks away really proud of that, and we're proud of Nathan and what he's given to our club and how he's left the game.
And we saw the impact that Josh Shecky had with Alia. Do you expect him to try the same thing with Jake Lever?
I'm sure there'll be tactics from both sides, Pete. There's some pretty good players out there come next Saturday night. They'll have some players of ours that they'll have to worry about. We'll have some of theirs. Both teams have played each other 3 times this year. Pre-season, the 2 games. We know a lot about each other. We know what drives their games, and I'm sure both teams will have some things up their sleeve that'll will make it challenging for their best players in their team.
Goody, how impressed are you with the job that Tim Lamb and Jason Taylor have done for this club and the list you've put together, not only at the draft, but really strategic recruiting as well of older players to fill gaps and get you to this point, I suppose?
I think they're getting the kudos that they deserve. They've a part of our footy club that's really important, the list management, recruiting, and I'm sure if you ask those guys themselves, they'll probably be a little bit embarrassed by the attention that they get in that space because it runs deeper than them in their department. You know, the spotters around Australia, the other people that work within their team. And it's the sum of all parts that come together. You know, to build a strong footy club, you need strong list management and recruiting, you need strong development, you need strong coaching, you need a strong playing group, you need strong administration, you need a strong and aligned board. And all those things come together, your club's in good shape, and that's what we've got at the moment.
How much do you get involved in that process, or do you try to leave it as much as possible to them?
You know, one thing that I've learned really early on throughout my coaching career is let the people that are experts in their field do their job, and those guys are outstanding. They certainly tap into my thoughts on footy and my advice and my vision for the team, but they're very good at what they do, and that's their job, and I let them do their job.
Simon, can you take us through the relationship between Clayton Oliver and Christian Petracca? Specifically, they've had this little journey together through the junior ranks as well.
Yeah, they have. Look, their relationships evolved over time. They're different people. They've got different strengths, but I think this year they've really worked out that between the two of them, and obviously with Jack, almost like the big brother between the two, they've worked out that they can be a pretty dynamic combination, and they have enormous respect for each other. They care and love for each other is enormous, and the combination of the two is become really strong, both on the field but also off the field, and that's really important.
When do you think that kind of clicked between the two of them, and have you seen that impact on the playing group, that flow-on effect to the playing group?
Oh, certainly there's no doubt it's gone to a new level in the last 18 months. I think when you're a young player, it's quite competitive for spots, it's competitive for team, and that's how you sort of grow within the team. But I think it's when you finally work out as a player that you need others to perform really strongly for you to be at your best and for the team to perform really well. That's when you get significant shift, and I think that's what our playing group's got to, is that they know that the importance of everyone's role within the team and the value that they give the team is as important as their own, and those two have certainly found that in the midfield.
Last couple for Goody. Thanks, guys.
How confident are you, Simon, of getting the result?
Oh, look, I think, when you get to the position you're in, you've got enormous belief in your playing group and your footy club. But we certainly don't underestimate the Bulldogs. They're a fantastic footy club. They've been here before. They're playing some amazing footy and they've got some great players. So every game's a new challenge. And one thing that we are really strong on is that our respect for the competition, our respect for our opposition is always high. And that'll always be the same. So we've got belief in how we play. But on the day, you've got to go out and execute strongly, and that's what our plan is.
I think there's probably a narrative that there might be more external expectation on you guys, given the premiership drought compared to the Bulldogs, who won in 2016. Does that affect the players, and how do you make sure that doesn't become a factor this week?
There's pressure on everyone. And that's a great position to be in. It's a privilege to be in this position. There's pressure on the Dogs. There's pressure on Melbourne. We've prepared our players for that. It's great. It's a great position to be in. But as I said, it's now time to go out and execute the things that you need to execute under the ultimate pressure, and we're looking forward to that.
Thanks, Goody.